Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I hope students you are doing good. Now I'm going to start a new chapter, chapter number 15, sampling and sampling distribution. Today is lecture number 1, and in this lecture I will discuss the brief introduction about the sampling and sampling distribution and its relative terms. Now students, kindly subscribe to my channel and give your feedback. Let's start the topic, sampling and sampling distribution. In the contents of this lectures, I will discuss some important terms of this chapter. First of all, I will discuss population and sample. In the second point, I will discuss parameter and statistics. In the third point, sampling unit, sampling frame, and sampling design. And the last point is that sampling with replacement and sampling without replacement. These other terms are under discussion in the introduction of this chapter. Now, I will discuss the very important terms population and sample. The term population does not mean only the human population. It refers to a collection of measurements on individuals, objects, or units having some common characteristics is called population. For example, marks obtained by number of students in universities of Pakistan. Here, the total number of students in Pakistan universities are the population units, and the parameter of interest is the marks obtained by number of students in universities of the Pakistan. So population is the whole aggregate about which some information is needed. Here the population size is denoted by n, total number of units को हम लोग denote करेंगे n से in population. On the right hand side I will explain the term sample. A sample is a part or subset of a population. The sample will represent the characteristics of the whole selected items. सैंपल एक स्मॉल पार्ट है, एक छोटा हिस्सा है पॉपुलेशन का, और पॉपुलेशन के तमाम यूनिट्स को हम लोग डिस्कस नहीं करते इन सैंपल के अंदर. सैंपल में हम लोग थोड़े से यूनिट्स को सिलेक्ट करेंगे और उसको डिस्कस करेंगे, और वो आपके पास वो तमाम के तमाम यूनिट्स जो होंगे वो सेम कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स जो है वो कैरी कर रहे होंगे एज जैसे आपके पास पॉपुलेशन यूनिट्स के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, टू फाइंड आउट द एवरेज एज ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ अ कॉलेज वेयर देयर आर 1000 students, that is the population, we select 100 students and record their ages, that is the sample. Here the sample size is denoted by n. sample size को हम लोग denote करेंगे small n से, और capital population size को denote करेंगे capital N से. There is the difference between the population and sample. Now in the second point I will discuss the important terms parameter and statistic. The term parameter is any numerical value such as mean, variance, and standard deviation calculated from the population is called population parameter or simply a parameter. A parameter is denoted by Greek letters. For example, population is denoted by Greek letters mu. Population mean को mu से denote करेंगे. Population variance is denoted by sigma square, and population standard deviation is denoted by sigma. तो एनी वैल्यू विच इज कैलकुलेटेड फ्रॉम द पॉपुलेशन डेटा इज कॉल्ड पैरामीटर, और पैरामीटर्स को हम लोग जो है नोट करेंगे ग्रीक लेटर्स के लिए, म्यू फॉर मीन एंड सिग्मा स्क्वायर फॉर वेरिएंस एंड सिग्मा फॉर स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन. On right hand side, I will explain the term statistic. Any numerical value such as mean, variance, and standard deviation calculated from a sample is called sample statistic or simply statistic. A statistic is denoted by Roman letters. For example, sample mean is denoted by x bar. X bar is your Roman letters. Bias sample standard deviation is denoted by capital S square, and bias sample standard deviation is denoted by S. So any numerical value which is calculated from sample information is called statistic. This is the major difference between the parameter and statistic. पैरामीटर के लिए हम लोग पॉपुलेशन डेटा को यूटिलाइज करेंगे, और स्टैटिस्टिक को कैलकुलेट करने के लिए हम लोग सैंपल इंफॉर्मेशन को सैंपल इंफॉर्मेशन की डेटा को यूटिलाइज करेंगे. Now in the third point, I will explain the precise definition of sampling unit, sampling frame, and sample design. Sampling unit: before selecting the sample, the population must be divided into parts that are called sampling units. These units must make up the whole of the population and they must not be overlapping. So all units of the populations are considered as sampling units. For example, in sampling human population, the unit might be an individual person, the household, or all persons living in the same locality. These are the examples of the human population. Sampling frame: a list of sampling units is called a sampling frame. A frame is a list or map or other acceptable material which serve as a guide to the universe to be covered. तो तमाम के तमाम जो सैम्पलिंग यूनिट्स की जो लिस्ट होगी which is called the sampling frame. and sampling design. A definite plan for obtaining a sample from a given population is called a sample design. A sample design is specified before any data are collected. जो भी आपने सैम्पलिंग प्रोसीजर्स को अडॉप्ट करने से पहले आप लोग कोई भी प्लान जो कर लेते हैं सैंपल को सिलेक्ट करने से पहले, तो वो आपके पास इंक्लूड होगा सैंपल डिजाइन के अंदर. तो a definite plan for obtaining a sample for a given population is called a sample design. In the last point of this lectures, I will discuss the term sampling with replacement and sampling without replacement. First of all, I will explain what is sampling. The process of selecting the sample is called sampling. A sample may be taken from with replacement or without replacement from a population. In sampling with replacement, if the sample is taken with replacement from a population, the unit selected at random is returned to the population before the next unit is selected. The population remains the same and the sampling unit might be selected more than once. Now students, in sampling with replacement में आपके कोई भी sampling units जो हैं they are repeated before the next unit is drawn, and the formula of total samples drawn by sampling with replacement is n की power n. यानी आपने कैपिटल N पॉपुलेशन साइज है और सैंपल साइज आपका स्मॉल n है और इसकी हम पावर लेंगे, तो इस in this way students you can calculate the total samples drawn by sampling with replacement. On right hand side, I will explain sampling without replacement SWOR. If the sample is taken without replacement from a population, the unit selected at random is not returned to the population before the next unit is selected. The population reduced by 1 unit at each draw and sampling unit selected once. In sampling without replacement में sampling units are not repeated before the next unit is drawn, और एक यूनिट एक दफ़ा ही आपके पास सेलेक्ट हो सकता है एज अ सैंपल के तौर पर. और इसमें जो फार्मूला हम लोग यूज़ करेंगे टोटल सैंपल्स के लिए, द टोटल सैंपल्स ड्रॉन बाय सैम्पलिंग विदाउट रिप्लेसमेंट इज NCN and C stands for combination. combination का फार्मूला यूज़ करेंगे कैपिटल N. दिस इज द पॉपुलेशन साइज और इसको हम लोग टोटल स्मॉल n से जो है इसका कॉम्बिनेशन यूज़ करेंगे और इसमें हम लोग फाइंड करेंगे टोटल सैंपल्स में. और टोटल सैंपल्स में आपके पास जो नंबर ऑफ सैंपल्स होते हैं वो आपके पास एज कम्पेयर टू सैम्पलिंग विद रिप्लेसमेंट्स में आपके पास रिड्यूस कम होते हैं सैम्पलिंग विदाउट रिप्लेसमेंट में टोटल सैंपल्स की तादाद. और इसमें आपके पास कोई भी सैम्पलिंग यूनिट जो है वो रिपीट नहीं होता. एक दफ़ा जो भी सैम्पलिंग यूनिट आपके पास जब सेलेक्ट हो जाता है उससे जब आप इंफॉर्मेशन को कलेक्ट कर लेते हैं तो उसके बाद आपके पास यहाँ पे वो सेम सैम्पलिंग यूनिट जो है उसको हम अगेन यूज़ नहीं कर सकते. So this is the difference between the sampling with replacement and without replacement. In this lecture, some important definitions or terms has been explained in the introduction of the sampling and sampling distribution. Inshallah listeners, next lecture में आपसे मुलाकात होगी next topic के साथ. Kindly subscribe to my channel and give your feedback. Okay students, Allah Hafiz. Thank you.